couple of weeks of traveling the Philippines with Pascal and 3 other of my friends from home. I just flew here to Vietnam for the next month of solo traveling by myself. My plan is to buy a motorbike here in Ho Chi Minh City and ride all the way up to Hanoi and maybe a bit further up toward the Chinese border and through the mountains in the north. It's supposed to be really, really pretty up there. I got in super late last night, maybe 3:30 in the morning after all the airport and custom stuff, and then just crashed out completely. Woke up, got some breakfast, walked around a little bit, and then asked the guy from the hotel where I could get a SIM card, and he offered to give me a ride down to the shop and show me where it was and stuff. So we hopped on the back of his motorbike and started flying down this little alleyway that my hostel's on, and all of a sudden that was when it hit me like a ton of bricks in the face. Just this overwhelming freshness of traveling alone. It was first just a wave of smells, and then it was textures, and just this amazing heightened awareness that comes from an overwhelming amount of novelty in your brain trying to deal with that. So I tried to figure out why this is happening, and basically from the best numbers I can get, the human brain gets about 11 million bits of information per second from the 5 senses. It gets 10 million of those from sight, 1 million approximately from the skin, and then 100,000 from smell, 100,000 from hearing, and only about 1,000 from taste. So what happens here is that of those 11 million bits of information that your brain gets per second, only about 50 of them make it to the conscious level of your brain. We're only aware of that tiny percentage of what's actually going into our consciousness. So all of the decisions in our subconscious make up this process that decides what we actually perceive. And this is all based on what our brain decides is most beneficial to us surviving, like loud noises, quick moving objects, and people that are in our tribe. And then the other factor is what we're looking at, what we're listening to, what we're putting our attention on. So if you're traveling with someone you know, if you're traveling with a girlfriend or a partner or a friend, and you're looking at them and you're talking to them and you're engrossed in them, you can be at a cafe anywhere in the world, and maybe 80-90% of your sensory input that makes it to your conscious level is going to be the same as if you were sitting at your table at home. So all of a sudden, when you jump into being alone out here in the world that's completely different, your brain just gets washed in overwhelming amounts of novelty. And the way that it deals with that is by heightening all of your awareness to try to make sure that you can survive in this environment. Everything, the smells, the textures of all the concrete and the bits and the movement of everyone around me just becomes heightened in a way that it doesn't when I'm with someone I know. Now, I'm not talking bad about traveling with people that you know. I love traveling with my girlfriend. I love traveling with my friends. It's awesome, but there is something really special about being alone, and I think that even if you are someone who only feels comfortable traveling with others, and I know that it's very different if you're a woman and it's much harder to travel alone, but when you find places where you feel safe, take the time to go out alone and experience just long enough that you start to feel a little nervous, and you have to get over that and keep going, because that's when it hits you, and you just... I had this thought. Okay, so if say 50% of my world while I'm traveling is the person I'm with, because I'm listening to them, talking to them, paying a lot of attention to them, and then 50% of their world is me, in that circular loop that I'm seeing, in that reflection, it starts to feel subconsciously like 25% of the world is me. I start to get wrapped up where I'm everything in their eyes, and or I'm a big part of the world in their eyes, and they're a big part of the world in my eyes, and we get this reciprocal thing that makes us both feel bigger, I think. And then suddenly being thrown out or jumping out into the world and with no one that you know, all of a sudden makes me realize how small I am and puts the whole thing into a new perspective that's amazing. It's really refreshing to remember how insignificant I am in the world and how I don't have the responsibility to change everything and make this world better, even though I will try the best that I can. It's too big, and it's beautiful to just watch it go by sometimes. Yeah.